Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to Synchronicity Web TV. I am your host, Nadiya Shah, and this is your moment of synchronicity. Well, how exciting is this? I get to chat with the lovely Louise Edington. Now, Louise came into my purview because she was sharing online, she was sharing on Facebook, and I just thought that she was a really great astrologer, a really great presenter. And so you've seen her on my channel before when she did a video for me, and now she's going to be teaching a class at Synchronicity University. It is Louise that is part of the November speaker series at synchronicityuniversity.com. And for a limited time only, for just another couple of weeks, you can choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class to learn from incredible teachers like Louise. And Louise's topic is going to be especially interesting because she is going to talk about the personal Venus star, which I know is something that a lot of people are going to be intrigued by. So let me tell you about Louise. She is known as the Cosmic Owl of Cosmic Owl Astrology. She's on YouTube. I follow her on YouTube. She has such a wonderful presence. And as I said, she really knows her astrology. So I'm really excited to celebrate here with you, Louise. Welcome, Louise. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Nadiya. I'm very excited to be presenting for your wonderful university. Such a great opportunity. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so happy that you are going to be joining us. And I love that you're English. And I went to university in England. So it is so nice to have that connection with you as well. But yes, let's talk about the Venus star. What is the personal Venus star?
The personal Venus star is the conjunction of the Sun and Venus that occurred prior to the person's birth, so while they're in utero. But their personal, it's a bit more than that too, without giving too much away before the class. Your Venus star actually forms a 5-pointed star, the Venus star, and when you know your personal Venus star and prenatal star and your 5-pointed star, it just adds another layer of depth to your natal chart and more especially to your relationships. So,
wow. And so, let people know a little bit about this. It's basically the last time that Venus and the Sun were conjunct before your birth. And
yes,
that's what we're looking at. And so depending on the sign and house placement in your natal chart, do I have this right? That is going to say something about how you are in love and relationships and all those wonderful Venus things.
yes, it speaks to all those wonderful Venus things. But it's kind of, if you think about it, the Venus star before you're born is while you're cooking in your mother's womb, if you like. So it's kind of imprinted in you before you actually take your first breath in the world, and it connects you to your relationships with everybody in your family, those you meet throughout your life. Your personal 5-pointed star does kind of move throughout life, and you can look at transits to the Venus star and progressions of the Venus star. But even if you just know your natal Venus star and look at the aspects for that in your chart, it just tells you so much more about your Venus than or your Venus energy than just your natal Venus alone. It just adds to it. So.
Wow. And so there's a relationship between where that personal Venus star is, that conjunction of the Sun and Venus before you were born, because these two planets, for those of you who are beginner astrologers, these two planets travel quite close together in the sky. Venus is never more than 2 signs away from the Sun at any given moment. So they do meet, they are conjunct somewhat frequently. It's not like such a rare occurrence for them to meet in the sky. All of us are going to have this sense of the Sun having conjuncted Venus while we were in gestation. So all of us go through that experience, right?
And yes, we do. And the Sun and Venus actually meet about every 9.5 months, regular as clockwork. So it's actually the length of a pregnancy, a gestation. So, Venus is very human in nature, if you think, or, and her cycle is connected to the Fibonacci sequence and the golden mean that the whole universe is made from. Her number is, one of her numbers is 5, the 5-pointed star, which is a very human number itself. So it just kind of tells you so much more about your humanness, if you like. Venus is the higher incarnation of the Earth in many ways. It's what we're trying to attain in this lifetime, the Venus energy, in my opinion, and other astrologers, I have to say. And I've been working with Venus since 2017. In a dream, Venus came to me and said, "You're going to do a Venus retrograde class." And at that time, I knew very little about the Venus cycle. But in the years since, I've done a class every Venus retrograde, and I will be doing another one over the winter. But then I learned more and more about it. And I have to say, this Venus star work came from Ariel Gutman, another amazing astrologer, and I'm certified in her method. But I just find it adds so much. I wanted to introduce it to your followers. So.
And so Venus is the higher understanding of the Earth. I find that fascinating. What do you mean by that? Can you explore that a little more?
Well, Venus, in astrology, we talk about Venus meaning love and relationships. She's also about law of attraction in many ways, and manifestation and all those kind of things. And really, we're aiming to be more loving people in this lifetime, and we're aiming to manifest abundance. And I mean in all ways. I'm not just talking about money. And, we're aiming to have very strong values. If we're at our highest incarnation as humans, then we have very strong personal values. We love unconditionally. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to like everybody, but we can love them unconditionally, and so on and so forth. So to my mind, it's what we're attaining towards. Yeah.
And so it's exciting because so far we've been talking a little bit about your class and what that's going to be like. And I'm thinking, depending on where that personal Venus star is, there must be a correlation between your natal Venus placement and this Venus star placement. Like the two together can be synthesized to help you to understand what love is for you, what happiness is for you that much more fully.
Oh, absolutely. You should work with both. Neither one supersedes the other. It just adds another layer to my mind, and more aspects and more depth. And it's more specifically just, there is knowing the prenatal Venus star, which I will talk about clearly. But it's knowing the other 4 points of your star as well, and I'll explain in the class how to find those. And you find that people on the points of your star are supporters and people that you're in strong relationships with in your life, and it shows up unfailingly. Really, it's like even in groups of people like the Friends cast, they were all connected on Venus stars. It's
oh wow, that's going to be fun to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so those points of that star, the 5-point star, and how that shows up in your own chart, it says something about the connections you have with other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you're going to be letting people know how they can see this either before or in the beginning of the class, so that they're able to kind of keep up and see what's going on.
Yeah, I could actually send a PDF out with that we could have maybe attached to the class, so people could find theirs before the class.
Oh, that'll be so helpful, because I know a lot of students are going to show up and they want to be ready to understand it. And so if they already know that, that'll be so helpful. So to those of you out there who do end up signing up for this class or for the speaker series itself, remember, as I said earlier, it is just $5 a class with Choose Your Tuition rate, just until the end of October. And the class begins November 2021 is when the November speaker series does begin. And so, yes, normally what we do is we send out reminders to students the day before and 15 minutes before the class is live. And with that, we will include that PDF. And also know that if you can't join us live, that's okay, because everybody who signs up gets the download as well. Now, Louise, I did want to ask you as well, because you mentioned Venus retrograde, because we've got a Venus retrograde coming up. What do you think about this Venus retrograde season? I think it is going to be an intense one. Give me your insights. Give me your opinion.
Well, it's going to be off the charts because Venus is going to station retrograde conjunct Pluto and in square to dwarf planet Eris, which I also follow. The Venus retrograde is also occurring during, we have a draconic bowl, where all the planets are confined in one half of the lunar nodes. There's many other connections to this. Mars and Venus meet 2 or 3 times during the retrograde period. Well, they meet 3 times, I think, but I think one's just outside the retrograde. And it's just going to be this dance between, really, I think, the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And it's taking place in Capricorn, which has had a lot happening over the last couple of years of the pandemic period, and Venus is going to activate all that energy, so it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, and so basically, for those of you out there, you might remember at the beginning of 2020 we had Saturn and Pluto meet in the sign of Capricorn. We had Jupiter in the sign of Capricorn in 2020 as well. Jupiter magnifies whatever energy it's in anyways, and then you add the intensity of Saturn and Pluto, and especially Saturn and Pluto meeting. So it just sort of really intensified overall Capricornian energy for us. And now here comes Venus, right? Here comes Venus, and she is going to station with Pluto. She's going to be meeting Mars. Now, you mentioned earlier the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So can you define those and how you understand that playing out with this retrograde season?
Yeah, well, I don't see that as male and female at all. It's more to do with kind of the structures that we live under. We've lived under very kind of masculine head, top-down kind of structures, and I think it's changing. I think things are going to slowly even out, and it's kind of going to move towards a more egalitarian kind of society. That's my hope, anyway. But I am a Sagittarius, and I'm always hopeful.
I have my moon in Sagittarius, so I'm right there with you. I'm also very hopeful as well. I understand that when you say masculine and feminine, you're using them as principles, right? You're talking about them as a principle, not necessarily having to do with gender or gender identity. As principles, how would you conceptualize and help people to understand the difference between sacred masculine and sacred feminine?
Yeah, sacred masculine is more yang energy or more day energy. It's very action oriented, very direct, very much connected to I'm the leader, I'm going to lead the way, and I'm the boss kind of thing. And it's got its strengths, of course, as well. We need that action. It's the kind of the old hunter kind of an energy in caveman times, whereas the divine feminine energy is the more receptive, creative, softer, emotional energy, and we need the emotional intelligence as well as the mental intelligence, which is more yang energy. We've been out of balance for a long time, even in astrology, if you think about it, because we only had the moon and Venus really as the feminine principles, as the main archetypes. Yeah. And so most of the archetypes are masculine archetypes. And so it's almost as if sacred masculine energy is allowed a wider range of expression, as opposed to sacred feminine energy, which is basically the lover or the mother. Right? Yeah. That's about it, which is Venus, the lover, the moon, the mother. But with the other planets, we have like so many different roles, right? We have self-actualization with the sun. We have the explorer with Jupiter. I mean, just so many different ways of understanding whom it is that we can be, what it is that we can emphasize within ourselves. I'm one who believes that representation is really important. Like when you see yourself, it is very validating
it is deeply meaningful to see yourself. And that isn't just in others, that isn't just in the media, but of course, in the sky as well, in the stars as well. So you make such a great point there that we're able to see and appreciate the range of all we can be when it is that we see that reflected. Now, of course, I love that we live in times where we're able to recognize within all of us the sacred masculine and sacred feminine, regardless of gender identity. So I do think that that's very exciting.
Yeah, me too. And I could talk about it forever, but, this is a short one, and this is about Venus. But if people want to follow my Facebook, and I write on medium.com as well, I've just written a long article about Dwarf Planet series that talks a lot about these kind of things. And it's a big passion of mine. My second book was talked a lot about it a lot as well. So
you talked a lot about what? The sacred masculine, sacred feminine?
Yeah, and about renaming them and speaking more in astrology about using day and night. I use the astrology of sect instead of masculine and feminine because, my own personal chart, all my life I've been told I've got a masculine chart. Well, I feel very feminine, thank you very much, And I think, we don't look at the nuance and the multiplicity. I've got some so-called masculine signs, a lot of Sagittarius, but it's in very yin feminine houses in the 12th house. So, it's kind of like, and I could go on forever, like Mars. Mars says, we found water on Mars, for heaven's sake. So Mars isn't as dry and arid as it was portrayed. And Mars, the god, was originally the guardian of agriculture at one point, not just the warrior, not just the god of war. So I think we're in a time of perhaps reclaiming some of that nuance. I don't want to take it away from the masculine at all. That's still important. We need both. So.
Yes, absolutely. Isn't that interesting? Yes, there has been an association of Mars with fertility. I mean, the glyph of Mars is part of the fertilization process, right? And I'll try to put the glyph up here somewhere. And you also think about how I love that you mentioned that there is this understanding, a greater understanding of nuance now more than ever before. How much that frees us to claim the nuances within ourselves.
Exactly. And
that
applies to everybody, no matter, whether you're male or female or whatever you identify as. We've all got a Mars, we've all got a Venus, we've all got a moon.
And they want to be recognized. They have an energy, they're a part of us, and they desire to be known through us in one way or another. And that's why I do believe that it is so important to consciously tap into the different energies in your chart, because one way or another, they're going to show up. So it's a good idea to figure out how to tap into them consciously.
Totally agree.
Yeah. And so I'm so looking forward to your class on Venus, your personal Venus star. And so Louise is going to help us to understand this conjunction of Venus and the sun before we were born, and how it is that continues to relate in the 5-point star of Venus in our chart as well. So it's all very exciting. Louise, thank you so much. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for being a part of this upcoming November speaker series at Synchronicity University. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody out there, for watching. Remember, as low as just $5 a class with the very famous Synchronicity University. Choose your tuition rate. It is on right now until the end of October 2021 at synchronicityuniversity.com. Again, thank you, everybody out there, for watching. And until we connect again, take care. Bye.
Bye.